All right, so campfire cooking.
Yeah.
I read chapters 6 and 7. 6 kind of picks off right off where we left off last time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Fel constantly being upset with how slowly Mokuda picks up learning magic. And so he took a while learning fire magic, and it's like, okay, well now I'm going to try to learn earth magic. And he's just like, oh, this self-study thing isn't going to work out. We're going to a dungeon. Combat is the way to learn with you. And then Mokuda's like, no, please, no.
In what order did he learn the magic stuff?
He knows how to do a halfway decent fireball, and he knows how to throw pebbles.
Right, okay, I'm remembering, because I have knowledge of anime, not book.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So.
And the anime does a really good job of revealing what's going on in the book.
Mm-hmm.
He does reveal that Japanese food, like food directly from his online grocery store, does have beneficial effects. So like if he buys ingredients from here in the fantasy world and he cooks stuff, it just makes regular food and it'll taste good because he's good at cooking. But if he buys like a Wagyu steak and he feeds it to Fel, it will, like what happened last time, it'll boost his stats. And and Mokuda's like, okay, well, if I'm going to risk my life, let me load up on a bunch of stuff so like my stats are increased. And then that's when Fel is like, I was like, wow, okay, got you. I didn't know that's what happened. And then they get treated to a little bit of food, him and Sue. It's great. So the entrance to the dungeon is kind of hilariously done, where it's like immediately he runs into a wild slime that's not Sue. And I was like, oh, what should I do? It's like, do I just like swing my sword at it or something?
Kill it.
Sue just blast it on site. Pow! Acid shot, dead.
Just not at all like worried about. Oh, that's my own. That's like my brother. Nope. Bye.
Nope. Boom. Slime dead. A horned rabbit dead. Just immediately. And then they melt into the ground. And Mokuda's like, I was like, why did they do that? And I was like, because the dungeon is a living thing. Mm-hmm. When something dies in the dungeon, it returns to the dungeon. Also, monsters will not be scared of me because they are creatures born of the dungeon.
Yeah, I remember that in most, well, not most, there are some other, like, isekais and stuff that I have noticed where they do mention that the dungeon is a living and breathing thing. Well, not breathing. You get what I'm trying to say.
They give a much better explanation for a dungeon being there, other than, oh, it's a cave formation that happens to be magical, and there's monsters that live
here. It just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, it's like, here's a reason.
Yeah.
So, the next floor is goblins. You remember goblins. Mokuda remembers goblins. So immediately he freaks out. The trauma kicks back in and he starts throwing fireballs. And Fel is just immediately like, hey, cut it out. Earth magic.
You can't use that. You have to practice.
Yeah. And then Mokuda's like, but goblins. And then one of them jumps him, and then Sue just blasts him immediately. And a future brownie will put up a pic. It's kind of, once again, like I said, the book is kind of gruesome, and I believe there's just a picture of like a goblin partially melted because of Sue's acid bullet.
Sue's the real boss.
No, yeah. The dungeon arc kind of wraps up with him getting pushed further into the deeper levels of the dungeon. Fel just goes, I was like, yeah, there should be some kobolds down here. And then Mokuda's like, oh yeah, the little dog people. Yeah, this should be fun. No, they're wolf people. They might as well be lycanthropes. And there's a lot of them. And Fel goes, it's like, oh, why is there so many? There's probably a king here now. And I was like, they've been producing more.
Oh, Lord.
And so Mokuda does the best he can. He panics, blows his entire MP reserves, and faints because that's how it works in this universe. Sue then has to be the one that steps in and kills the king instead. And luckily, that was enough. Since Sue got the kill, Sue leveled up.
I was literally about to ask.
And he learns telepathy, and that's how Sue comes about learning how to talk.
Which is the most
adorable
thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You already get the feeling that Mokuda treats Sue a little bit better than Fel. Now that Sue can talk, It's my boy. Baby.
My child.
My favorite thing is him waking up from his little nap out on the surface outside the dungeon. And then like Sue just was like, Master, are you okay? And then Mokuda's like, you can talk, amazing. Where's Fel? And it's like, Fel went to go feed himself because he was tired of waiting for you. And he's like, oh, okay. But no, he doesn't call him Fel. He calls him Uncle Fel.
Uncle Fel. That's right. I forgot about that. I need to rewatch this.
Oh my God. Fel hates it. It's so great.
But it's cute.
Man.
It's so incredibly cute.
Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is the I'm so bad at remembering how to pronounce the name. I think it's pronounced Orthros?
Orthros, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a Cerberus is a 3-headed dog and like an Orthros is a 2-headed dog.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the forest that they're going to in order to get to the eastern continent is those guys and griffins, and they kind of like jockey for position of like leadership of the forest. And so like half of it is Orthos territory and the other half of it is Griffin territory. As if on cue, Mokuda's like, if this place is really dangerous, should we be here? And Fel is like, well, there's not really a reason that we should be afraid unless there's somebody being like, oh, I'm really young, I'm fearless, I'm trying to make a name for myself, I will purposely seek out a target stronger than me. And that's exactly what happened. He gets jumped by like a pack of dogs, and then one of the Orthos is like, oh, this is the leader. He's like the runt, but he's trying to make a name for himself. And then Fel just cleaves him in half. And it's just like, oops. They continue making their way through the forest. This is just like a little side note that happens, but it's kind of important. So when they take a break in the forest, they run into a mushroom patch of like glowing blue mushrooms. Fel mentions that, oh, those are healing mushrooms. And like Mokuda's like, it's like, oh, okay, gotcha. So they have like healing properties. And then Fel drops the bomb. And I was like, yeah, they're one of the ingredients for the elixir of life.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe I'll find enough ingredients to make myself an elixir. Yeah, I'll go ahead and bag up a few of them. Sue eats a handful of them because he gets the green light from Mokuda, and he learns the potion creation ability.
So is it spoiler to ask like what this potion does?
As far as I'm aware, the elixir of life either does a cure all, which is like a rarity, where it's like, okay, anything bad with you gets undone. If you have a wound, no more wound. Lost limb, it grows back. A disease or curse, gone. As far as I'm aware, it is just the best quality potion that could possibly exist. In the middle of all this, of course, Mokuda forgets to give an offering to Ninrir. And he makes a future brownie can put up the pic, and he puts,
where's my chocolate?
yeah, she's still a huge glutton for sweets. He puts down the little Amazon box, and he puts down he puts down like the it's like, okay, well, here's some pudding, here's some donuts, here's some cake. And it's like, here's a larger offering than usual because it's been more than a week.
Little does he know, there will be how many? 3 more women that he has to attend to.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't know when that happens, though.
That happens relatively soon into book 2, but we'll get into that. Just like what happened with the Orthros, it happens with the Griffins as well. So on the latter half of the forest, he runs into a young Griffin, but this one's like polite enough to like be like, I would like to challenge Fenrir to a duel because I'm in the running to become leader of my Griffin, the Griffin pack. And by dueling a Fenrir, I was like, I can show them that I know how to be a leader. Fel agrees to this. He's like, oh, I'm not going to hold back. And I was like, you know me, I'm huge. And then Mokuda's like, stop it. I'm not going to feed you if you're going to be a dick. And he's like, oh, okay, got you. And so he pulls his punches enough to not kill the Griffin, but the Griffin still loses the fight. The Griffin was good enough to land a blow, though, which is like, hey, you wounded a legendary beast. That's pretty good. He gets recognized as the leader of the pack, and then, they fly away and stuff like that. that's when, it's like, okay, Phil, there you go. You do know how to listen when it comes to incentive. It's like, of course, I could listen to reason. I was like, yeah, I bet.
How old do you think? How old is Fel?
Fel, in terms of in-universe, is over 1,000 years old.
How old do you think Fel would be if he was a person?
Maturity-wise?
Maturity-wise?
Probably mid-20s.
Are you sure? I feel like he's a grumpy, 40-year-old, 50-year-old
You think so?
I don't know. He gives off those vibes.
I don't know how quote-unquote breeding works in the fantasy universe. So, I don't know if you're born a legendary beast, or if you're born as a wolf and you make your way up to Great Wolf and then you make your way into Fenrir.
Yeah, he gives me, late 30s, early, mid 40s vibes.
Maybe. Yeah. I can see where you're going with that.
And then Sue's
Sue's baby.
Sue's just a baby.
Yeah.
7-year-old.
When we meet Sue, he was 2 days old.
Right.
Yeah, because that's what it shows up on his stats when Moguda analyzed him.
At the point where Sue can talk, though, I kind of it. For me, it feels like a 6-year-old. Because that's when an actual child actually starts talking.
Very basic.
So it's for me, Sue is just...
I thought kids could talk by 2.
2? Oh, well...
2 years old.
That just shows how much I know about children.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, so to go back to the story, they do make their way out of the forest after the incident with the Griffins and the Orthros. The book ends off... I guess the book ends off with... the after story, but the after story is not really much. The bandit attack with Lars's group. So they make their way out of the forest. They hear a commotion going off. It's like, hey, Fel, what's going on? And he's like, oh, there's bandits attacking a group of people over there. Mokuda is like, oh, we should go help them. But why? It's like, there's no reason for us to help regular people. I will feed you good food. Okay. I will feed you special food. And then Fel's like, yeah, yep, say less. So they go over there, a bunch of bandits. Everybody kind of collectively pauses because they see a Fenrir. I was like, oh, crap. I was like, are we all going to die? And I was like, no. It's like, bandits, throw down your weapons. And they're like, no. And then Fel's like, you should throw down your weapons. I was like, okay, got you. Yeah, we'll do that. The leader has a little more chutzpah. And he's like, I can take this talking dog.
Talking dog.
And it's, once again, it's graphically described in the book, but it's somewhere along the lines of Fel rips him into 5 pieces with the claw strike. Sue hits him with acid.
But
and then
he's dead.
And then the continued wind effect after Fel's claw strike then scatters the bubbling remains of his body to the wind. He is completely destroyed.
He's dead.
Everybody who saw that extra surrenders. There's no chance. Our leader went down with the greatest of ease and the most gruesome of deaths we've ever seen.
I forgot how. Maybe I blacked that out in my brain.
No, because it doesn't happen in the manga, or no, it doesn't happen in the anime.
How did he? I'm trying to remember. How did he die in the anime?
I think it just blacks out to a white screen or something like that after he gets hit.
Lame.
But that's just how it is.
Yeah, I know.
So everybody introduces themselves. So it's like, oh yeah, it's like, my name's Lars. I'm the leader of the group Phoenix. And I was like, here's my mercenaries. We're looking after Lambert. Lambert's going to be a recurring character. Mm-hmm. So, and then there's this kind of fat guy that's in his 40s or 50s. And he's just like, yeah, my name's Lambert. I'm a merchant. And I was like, thanks for helping me out. We're going into city. And then Mokuja's like, I'm trying to go to city as well. And then they all kind of just tag along. And that's where the last chapter ends. The little epilogue that they have at the end of the book is technically a prologue because that's what Mokuda was doing right before he got isekai'd. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty nothing. It's just him explaining to himself what his day-to-day routine is. Mm-hmm. And how it's kind of mundane, I go to work and I work at a black company and then I come home and I order food and I'm always scrolling through Japanese, not Amazon, for good prices on like, oh, there's a spring festival going on over here, so I bet the, vegetables that are coming out of here are going to be really good quality, so let me order some and blah, 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 and I'm going to chill by my computer and read trashy isekais. And I was like, haha, oh, that's so great. That would never happen to anybody. Gets isekai. And that's where it is.
What a lovely circle.
Oh man, there's a pic Future Brownie can put up of that too. It's just it's just that. Oh, that's it. That's all of book 1. I'm gonna start reading book 2 here, but I'm still reading Spider as well. So yeah,
That's impressive.
Yup.